Okay, so hello friends. In the last tutorial, we discussed about the Spring MVC annotations. We studied about the @controller annotation, @request mapping annotation, @path variable annotations, and how we can use these annotations and not use the XML file configurations to get the required view. So today we'll be discussing about the Spring MVC HTML form handling. Let's first understand the basic theory involved in it. Let me explain you about this. Okay, so Spring MVC HTML form handling. As we all know that a user, it will hit a URL on its web browser. Whenever a user will hit what our requirement is and how we'll be designing this application. Now here we are starting not from the basic things, here the main application, how we can develop an HTML form and handle it using the Spring MVC. So what I want is that user hits the URL. Say I want to develop a training form, basically, which is being developed at the institutions. So I want to have a training form and say this is my URL. AT my application Spring MVC and then training form.html. Now when user will hit this URL, what I want, a HTML form should come, like student name, then a box will come over here where it will be entering the student name. A text box will come, then we can have student mobile number. Again we'll be having another HTML form. We can have a date of birth, then we will be entering the date of birth. So all this I want, and at the end I'll have similarly we'll have some more fields, and then I want the submit button. Now first of all, user hits the URL, I want this view to be displayed. So now when user will hit this submit button, all the data which user has entered, it should be automatically binded to my bean class, that is my Java class. This is what my requirement is, that data binding should be done automatically. I don't need to take care of that. We'll study about that also. Now after this, when user will submit, another URL will be created. That will be like another URL. It will be same as this one. Let me just copy this. Here instead of not training form, I will be having a URL with the name submitform.html. So user has now submit the form. When this URL is entered, whenever I click on submit, what I want the user to see, I want the user to see a successful message. So you have successfully submitted the details, and then we can have a detail like student name, whatever it is, Amit. So whatever the name is, data will be displayed over here. So this way I want my application to work. So you get an overview what we want to design. So now let's see how we can design this application. Okay, the basic flow will remain the same. User when hits this URL, the first URL, then the request is going to web.xml. Web.xml says that this request needs to be handled by Spring Dispatcher, that is dispatcher servlet, that is my front controller. So it goes to Spring Dispatcher servlet.xml. It checks over there that context component scan base package this. So it goes to that particular package and then scan the controller classes. So now I want, and then display the view using the view resolver. So I've created another new package, that is training form. This will just be handling my training form application, which I will be developing now. And we have a training form application. So this I have marked it as a controller class. So the first in the foremost change is that in this dispatcher servlet, now I want the package which needs to be scanned is training form. So now it will scan this package and load all its controller class. So let's go one by one. First, I want the user to hit the URL just to display the view. So in this training form, I have public class at that controller. So first annotation I'll be having is request mapping annotation, and what the URL will be training form.html. if you want you can, otherwise it's okay. Then we have the method public, or you can copy the method also, that is protected model and view request handler. This, let me return a null as of now, then we'll be, so this, okay, it's model and view, fine. So now this is my URL. Here I just want the view to be displayed, so I'll have model and view, model equal to new, I'll just create an object of model and view. Here we'll be having a view. I've already created a JSP file with the name training form, so I want the form to be displayed to the user. So here you can just check, it should exactly match with the case which I've used over here. It's case sensitive, so training form. So this is my view. I don't want any object or data to be added, so I will not use model.add object, just display the view. So returning null, now we'll return the model. So this will return the view name to the front controller. Fine, so this is not accepting any parameters. One more point I want to tell you over here. Here we can also define our request method if you want. That this is my request method, that is dot get method or whatever you want. You can just, I'll tell you about this. Let me define that request method dot get. You all know that whenever we are submitting a HTML form, we have different methods: get, post, put, delete. So these are those methods only. So we are just telling the Spring MVC front controller that this request handler method will handle the get request type only with the URL as training form.html. So this is just used to tell that. Okay, so now this is the, so let's go to the training form.jsp. Let's do step by step. So now till now the user has entered this URL and it's getting the view it needs to display. So I'll go to this training form.jsp. so here we want particular view to be displayed, so I'll just create a table. HTML language, it is plain HTML language. A table row is created with table data as student name, and this table data will be created with input type as text and name as, say I have given student name. This is my table data and my table row ends over here. So this is my first value which I wanted to display. Similarly, I'll just copy paste this to save the time. Okay, I want student mobile then I want the date of birth. This is my date of birth. Okay, so also we want a submit button. So after this table we'll have an input type equal to type equal to submit. You can give the name you want. Submit the form. So this is my input type. Now the most important thing, this table will be displayed, but when user will be clicking on this submit button, I want the form to perform an action. So all this table will come under my form tag, and this form tag will end over here. Here inside the form tag I need to define the action, that is Spring MVC project 1 needs to take the submit form.html. You can also define that whenever the user will be submitting this form, I don't want the data to be displayed in the URL browser. That is, I don't want the get method to be implemented by default by the browser. I want the method to be post. So now it will take the post method undefined. Okay, I forgot to end it over here, so you need to end it over here. Okay, fine. So now this is my training form which it will display. Now when user will enter the value, this form is going, now student enter the value, student name say Amit. I want this to be binded to my bean class, so I need to create my bean class. So for that I have already created a student class. This, it's taking the field as name, hobby, mobile number and date of birth. One is of string type, another long and date, and the getter and setter of it. Just be careful that if you want data binding to happen automatically, the name which you have used over here should exactly match with the member variable of the student class, that is student name. So this should match. Student hobby, so it should be, I haven't used student hobby as a field, so for the time being, or you can just copy this. One more row we can add. I'll just take the student hobby and the student mobile is there, and this should exactly match with this. So I need to change it now, this name. Similarly this is in small. So now it's exactly matching with the member variables of the student class, so binding will happen. So till now what we have covered, how first user hitting the URL, simple, a view will come with the help of request handler, so no object addition. Then user entering the, so we created the view, user entering it, clicking on submit, it is another URL is being created which is submit form.html. So I need to have another request handler to handle this request, this URL. So I'll create one more request handler. You can just name it as submit form, and similarly what URL I want to be generated, it's this submit form.html. So you can just simply copy this and say that I want the URL to be as submit form.html. HTML. Now when this URL is being created, I want that the data which is being entered in this view, it should be present in data entered in this request handler method on the view should be presented to the user at the last. So here I need to take the parameters. So let me use the another annotation I'll be telling you about, that is request mapping we have discussed. Now we have request param annotation. So it is request param annotation. Again you need to give the name. This will be exactly same as this, student name, control C. String name. For the time being I'll just copy this annotation, that is request mapping. So I want student hobby. So similarly I have to give the same name over here. Here it is mobile, here it is DOB. If there is any mismatch in the name, then it will not bind the data to these values. This is local variable, this you can give any. Now here I will not be, you can remove these methods since you don't want this to be. Now I don't want the training form to be displayed as a view. I want the success message that you have successfully displayed the data. So success.jsp. Here I need to create an object. First of all I'll tell you how to. Now this data which user entered, it has come in the request param annotation and all that is present in these variables. I want this to be binded to my student.java. We'll study how this binding happens automatically, but if we are not doing it automatically, how we need to bind? We need to create a student object like this. Then we'll have student dot set student name with the name. Students dot set date of birth. Okay, it's just saying that you need to change the data type. As of now let's change it to data type this, but later on we will be binding it to the same value only. I have now changed it to date. For mobile I can take a string instead of long, but for date I just need to modify it over here. So this I have set the values. Now I just need to put it in my model object. So model dot add object. What it will take, first the object name, that is student. Say I just want student 1, and which object I want to add? This entire object, my student object, which is having the data. So this I will add it over here. Oh, just let's see what it is saying to do. It's saying that, yeah, you can remove this method if you want, because it's already present over here. Okay, so now we have created the completion, but we haven't created the success page. So in this success page, I want my data to be displayed. So you can just put an heading. You have successfully submitted the details are how I want to display. How I'll display it using the object that is student1. So in this success.jsp, I'll just create a table only. Table data student name से another table data. Okay, so what we'll be having over here again, dollar, the object name was student1 dot, this object we want student name of this object, so student name. So this will display the student name. Similarly, I'll have the another rows. I will display my mobile. What's the field name? Mobile. For date of birth, I'll just enter date of birth. For hobby. So now it will automatically pick the data student name and display the details to the user. So this is the modification which we need to do for handling the HTML form. So in the next tutorial, we will be running this application and see how the output is being displayed to the user, and also we'll study about the more annotations involved in it, that is binding result annotation and how automatic binding is done, model